Welcome back to Stone Creek Farm. The world outside can wait. Tonight, freezing rain is falling across the valley, coating everything in a thin layer of ice that catches the last of the daylight and throws it back in pale silver. You can hear it, even from here, the sharp tap 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 of ice pellets hitting the roof of Silas's workshop where you've come to spend the evening. The sound is constant, like 1,000 tiny messengers announcing winter's arrival, and it creates a rhythm that fills the space around you with something that feels almost musical. The rain sounds different on different surfaces, a metallic pinging on the tin patches of the roof, a softer pattering on the wooden walls, a sharp rattle against the glass window. Together, these sounds create a symphony of winter, a reminder of the storm's presence and your protection from it. The wind pushes against the wooden walls every so often, making the old timber creak in a way that reminds you just how solid this place is, just how protected you are from the storm that rages beyond these walls. Take a deep breath now. Let it fill your chest completely, slowly, feeling the cool air enter your nose and warm as it travels down into your lungs. Hold it gently for just a moment. Now release it. Let it go. Feel your shoulders drop with the exhale. Feel the weight of the day beginning to slide away from you like rain running off a slate roof. You are here now, warm and dry and safe, and there is nowhere else you need to be. The workshop sits just down the road from the main farmhouse, a small wooden structure that Silas built with his own hands years ago. You can see the farmhouse from here if you look through the window, the warm amber glow of its windows flickering through the sheets of freezing rain like distant lighthouses. And the sight of it reminds you that home is close, that the animals are all tucked away in their shelters, that Miller is probably sprawled in front of the fireplace and Fig is curled on the velvet armchair, and that everything and everyone you care about is safe tonight. The workshop itself is a place that always feels like a secret. The walls are made of weathered cedar planks that have turned silvery grey with age, and the whole structure leans just slightly to one side, as though it's settling deeper into the earth with every passing season. Inside, the space is small and intimate, just large enough for one person to work comfortably. A single workbench runs along the far wall beneath a window that looks out toward Deep Pine Ridge, where the tall trees stand like sentinels against the darkening sky. Tools hang on the walls in neat rows, saws and planes and chisels, all arranged with care, and the floor is covered in a thick layer of sawdust and wood shavings that cushion every step you take. In the corner, a small space heater glows orange, throwing warmth into the room in waves that you can almost see. The heat rises and spreads, filling the workshop with a comfort that makes your muscles relax without you even realizing it. The contrast between the freezing rain outside and this warm, protected space inside creates something precious, something that feels like the safest place in the world. You can hear the ice pellets more clearly now, rattling against the window glass like small stones while the wooden walls absorb the impact with a softer, more muffled sound, and the tin roof sections respond with bright metallic pings. Each sound reminds you that you are not out there in the cold. You are here in the warm, and the storm cannot reach you. The light in the workshop comes from a single lamp clamped to the edge of the workbench. It casts a warm yellow glow across the wooden surface, creating shadows that dance slightly as the wind causes the whole building to sway in the smallest way. The light catches on the tools, making the metal gleam softly, and it illuminates the project waiting for you on the bench, an old chair that needs attention, that needs your hands and your time and your care. Outside, old Greyback Mountain is invisible now, hidden behind curtains of freezing rain and the early darkness of winter. The forest at Deep Pine Ridge is a black mass against the grey sky, and somewhere out there, the animals of Stone Creek Farm are all settled in their shelters. The horses, Barley and Bramble, are in their stable, standing hip to hip in their usual way, sharing warmth. The chickens are in their whitewashed coop, the Colonel standing watch, while Henrietta and Goldie and the others fluff their golden feathers and tuck their heads beneath their wings. Bessie and Buttercup are in the old barn, their shaggy ginger coats keeping them perfectly insulated as they chew their cud in the darkness. Puddle and Splash are in their little floating house on the edge of Mirror Lake, protected from the ice that's beginning to form on the water's surface. Everyone is safe, everything is taken care of, and you are, here in this small workshop, with nothing to do except work with your hands on something simple and good. There is nowhere else you need to be. Take another breath. Feel how the air in the workshop smells of sweet cedar from the walls. That fresh, almost Christmas-like scent that the old silvery planks still release when the room warms. Beneath that, there's the earthier, richer smell of oak from the chair on the bench, a deeper wood scent that speaks of age and density and old forests. And underneath everything, there's the fresh, almost vanilla-like sweetness of the sawdust on the floor, mixed with an undertone of the metallic scent that comes from the space heater warming the room. These smells layer together and wrap around you like a blanket, and you realize that you haven't thought about anything from the day, about responsibilities or tasks or the busy noise of the world since you stepped through the door. The workshop has a way of doing that, of drawing you into itself and closing out everything that doesn't matter. You move toward the workbench slowly, feeling the sawdust compress beneath your boots with each step. The sound is soft, muffled, like walking on a forest floor covered in pine needles. The space heater hums its low, steady song in the corner, and the freezing rain continues its percussion on the roof and windows and walls, and together these sounds create a cocoon of white noise that makes the workshop feel even smaller, even more protected. The old chair sits on the workbench, waiting. It's a simple design, 4 legs, a curved back, a worn seat, made from oak that has darkened with age and use. The wood is solid and heavy, the kind that was harvested from old-growth forests decades ago, and it has the weight and density that modern furniture never seems to have. Someone made this chair a long time ago, shaped it with care, sanded it smooth, and now it has come to you for restoration, for a return to its former beauty. The chair has lived a long life. You can see it in the way the wood has worn smooth in certain places, where hands grip the back, where bodies settled into the seat day after day, year after year. There are small scratches in the surface, tiny dents and marks that tell stories you'll never know. A grandchild's toy dragged across the arm, a dog's claws catching the leg, a dropped tool leaving its signature. The finish has faded and cracked in places, and the joints have loosened slightly with time, and the whole piece has taken on that quality that only old, well-loved things have. A kind of quiet dignity that comes from being useful, from being part of someone's daily life. Your task tonight is simple. You are going to sand this chair, removing the old finish and preparing the wood for something new. It's work that requires no urgency, no deadline, no particular outcome, except the gradual transformation of rough to smooth, of dull to clean. It's work that asks nothing of your mind except presence, nothing of your body except gentle, repetitive motion. It's perfect work for a night like this, when the freezing rain falls and the world outside is sharp and cold, and you need to do something warm and slow and meditative. You reach for the sandpaper, selecting a medium grit to start. The paper feels rough beneath your fingertips, covered in tiny granules of aluminum oxide that catch and hold the light. You fold the sheet carefully, creasing it so that it fits comfortably in your hand, creating a sanding block that you can control with ease. The paper makes a soft rustling sound as you fold it, and the sound blends with the patter of ice on the windows and the hum of the heater and becomes part of the workshop's evening song. The workbench surface is scarred and stained from years of Silas's projects, cuts from saws that went a little too deep, burn marks from soldering irons, dark circles where wet coffee mugs sat too long. The wood has absorbed oil and sweat, essence of countless hours of work, and it has become something beautiful in its own right, a map of creativity and craftsmanship. You place your hand flat on the surface and feel the slight stickiness of old varnish, the subtle warmth that lingers from the space heater's glow. Outside, the freezing rain intensifies for a moment, the sound on the tin roof sections becoming almost like applause, like hundreds of small bells ringing in rapid succession, while the wooden walls absorb the heavier impacts with deeper thuds. Then it softens again, returning to its steady rhythm, and you realize that you've been listening to it without really hearing it, that it has become background music for your thoughts, a white noise that actually helps you think more clearly, or perhaps not think at all. The contrast is striking. Out there, sharp ice and bitter cold. In here, warmth and shelter and safety. You lift the sandpaper and position it against the chair's back, where the old finish is most cracked and worn. The wood beneath is still sound, still solid, waiting to be revealed again. You begin to move the sandpaper across the surface in long, even strokes, following the grain of the wood, feeling the resistance as the paper catches on the old varnish and begins to break it down, particle by particle, molecule by molecule. The motion is soothing immediately, back and forth, your arm moving in a rhythm that requires no thought, no planning. The sandpaper makes a gentle scratching sound as it works, a whisper of friction that is somehow deeply satisfying. You can feel the vibration in your hand, traveling up your arm, a subtle sensation that tells you the paper is doing its work, that wood and grit are meeting and transforming each other. Notice how your shoulders have already dropped, how they're hanging loose and easy from your neck now. You weren't even aware they were tense, yet now they're releasing, softening, letting go of whatever strain they were, holding. The simple motion of sanding has begun its work on your body as well as on the chair. The workshop around you seems to grow quieter as you work, or perhaps you simply stop noticing the sounds as much. The freezing rain becomes a distant thing, something happening in another world entirely. The space heater's hum fades into the background. Even your own breathing becomes slower, deeper, matching the rhythm of your hand moving across the wood. You pause to look at your progress. Already a small patch of the chair's back has changed colour, the dark, cracked finish giving way to lighter wood beneath. The oak's grain is beginning to show through, long flowing lines that curve and swirl like water, like the surface of Mirror Lake on a calm day. You run your fingertips across the sanded area and feel the difference, the way it's already smoother, already closer to what it once was. The smell of the fresh oak is stronger here where you've been sanding, that earthy, slightly sweet scent that's different from the cedar walls, richer and deeper. The contrast between the restored patch and the rest of the chair is striking. It reminds you of why this work matters, even though it's simple, even though no one is waiting for it, even though the world would continue turning if you never finished. There's something good in taking an old thing and bringing it back to life, in honoring the work that someone else did long ago, in being part of a chain of care that stretches backward and forward through time. You return to your sanding, moving the paper in those long, steady strokes, and your mind begins to drift in the way that hands' busy work allows. You think about the person who built this chair, wonder if they worked in a shop like this one, if they heard rain falling on their roof, if they felt the same satisfaction in seeing wood transform beneath their hands. You think about all the people who sat in this chair over the years, the conversations that happened around it, the meals eaten, the books read, the quiet moments of rest it provided. The freezing rain continues its steady percussion, and you realize that you're grateful for it, for the way it makes this workshop feel even more like a refuge, for the way it gives you permission to stay here as long as you want, working slowly, taking your time. There's no reason to hurry. The storm will last as long as it lasts, and you are perfectly content to be here until it passes, or until sleep calls you back to the farmhouse, whichever comes first. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing calling you away from this warm room, this simple work. Your hand moves back and forth, and the old finish gradually disappears beneath your efforts. Small particles of varnish fall away and mix with the sawdust on the floor, and the chair's back slowly reveals itself, showing the true color of the oak, the honest grain pattern, the small imperfections that make it real and valuable. You sand around the curved top of the chair's back, feeling how the wood becomes thinner here, more delicate, and you adjust your pressure accordingly, working gently so as not to damage what has survived for so long. The lamp's warm light makes everything look golden. The wood glows beneath your hand, and the tools on the walls seem to shimmer slightly in the shadows, and even the sawdust on the floor looks beautiful, like a carpet of tiny amber jewels. You breathe in the scent of the workshop, sweet cedar from the walls, earthy oak from the chair, fresh sawdust from the floor, warmth from the heater, and feel it fill your lungs with something that is almost nourishment, something that feeds a part of you that you didn't know was hungry. Take another slow breath now. Feel it enter your body, cool at first, warming as it travels down. Feel your chest expand. Hold it gently. Release it slowly, completely, letting every bit of air flow out. Your jaw is unclenched now, you notice, soft and easy, no tension held in your face at all. Time becomes strange in the workshop. You're not sure if you've been sanding for 5 minutes or 50, minutes or hours. It doesn't matter here. The rhythm of the work has taken over, and you've fallen into that meditative state where the body knows what to do and the mind is free to rest, to wander, to simply be quiet. Outside, the sky is growing darker, the grey deepening toward black, and the freezing rain shows no sign of stopping. The sound on the glass window is sharper than on the wooden walls, creating a bright counterpoint to the deeper thuds on the cedar planks. Inside, the space heater continues its warm glow, and your hand continues its steady motion, and everything feels exactly as it should. You move to a new section of the chair, positioning yourself so that you can sand the curved arm. The wood here is smoother than the back, worn down by decades of hands gripping it as people rose from sitting, as they steadied themselves, as they ran their palms along it in absent-minded gestures. You can feel the ghost of all those touches as you sand, can almost sense the warmth of the hands that came before yours. Each stroke of the sandpaper reveals more of the oak beneath. The wood is beautiful, you realize, far more beautiful than the old finish allowed it to be. The grain flows in waves across the surface, darker lines alternating with lighter ones, creating a pattern that is both random and orderly, both chaotic and organized. It's the kind of beauty that only nature can create, the kind that comes from years of growth and sun and rain, from the slow accumulation of rings and the patient building of cellulose and lignin. You continue working on the arm, taking your time with each section, making sure the sandpaper contacts every part of the surface evenly. The motion has become automatic now, your hand knowing exactly how much pressure to apply, exactly what angle to hold the paper, exactly how to follow the contours of the wood. This is muscle memory developing in real time, your body learning the shape of this chair, adapting to its curves and planes. Outside, through the ice street window, you can barely see the dark shapes of the trees in Deep Pine Ridge, their forms swaying in the wind. The freezing rain continues to coat everything, the ice building layer upon layer. Yet here in the workshop you remain perfectly warm, perfectly dry, perfectly safe. The contrast is profound, the harsh world outside and this gentle sanctuary inside, separated by nothing more than thin wooden walls and Silas's careful craftsmanship. The freezing rain has settled into what feels like a permanent rhythm now, a steady drumbeat that you could set a metronome to. The different surfaces create different tones, the bright metallic ping on the tin roof patches, the softer patter on wood, the sharp rattle on glass, all combining into a complex yet soothing soundscape. It's the kind of sound that doesn't demand attention yet rewards it when given, revealing subtle variations in intensity and pitch that keep it interesting without ever being jarring. You notice how the workshop has its own temperature layers. Near the space heater, the air is almost hot, shimmering slightly with the warmth it produces. At waist height where you're working, the temperature is perfect, warm enough to be comfortable, cool enough to keep you alert. And near the floor you can feel a slight chill creeping in, cold air seeping through the gaps in the old floorboards, reminding you that winter is just on the other side of these thin walls. Yet you're not cold. The work keeps you warm, the gentle exertion of sanding heating your core, keeping your blood moving, and the space heater's warmth wraps around you like an invisible blanket, creating a buffer zone between you and the freezing temperatures outside. You feel perfectly comfortable, perfectly at ease in your body and in this space. There is nowhere else you need to be. The sandpaper is beginning to wear down slightly, the grit becoming less aggressive, and you know you'll need to replace it soon. For now though, it still works, still removes the old finish in those satisfying long strokes. You watch as more of the oak reveals itself. Watch as the arm of the chair transforms from dull and tired to clean and vital, ready for the next stage of restoration. You think about what will come after this sanding, the careful application of oil or wax or varnish, whatever treatment will bring out the deepest color in the wood and protect it for years to come. You think about how the chair will look when it's completely finished, how someone will pull it up to a table and sit down and feel the smoothness of the wood beneath their hands and never know about this evening, about this patient work in a small workshop while freezing rain fell outside. Yet that's all right. The work is its own reward. The doing is its own purpose. The satisfaction you feel as you watch the wood emerge from beneath the old finish is payment enough for your time and effort. You finish the first arm and move to the second, giving it the same careful attention. The wood here is similar yet slightly different. The grain runs at a slightly different angle. The color is marginally lighter. The wear pattern reflects a different set of habits and gestures. You sand it with the same patient strokes, following its unique contours, honoring its particular character. The fresh oak smell grows stronger as you work, mixing with the sweet cedar scent from the walls and the vanilla-like aroma of sawdust on the floor. Your breathing has synchronized with your sanding rhythm without you intending it to. Inhale as your hand moves forward. Exhale as it comes back. Over and over, creating a pattern that is both physical and respiratory, both external and internal. This is what meditation teachers talk about when they speak of mindfulness, of being fully present in the body and in the moment. Yet here it happens naturally, arising from the work itself rather than from any intentional practice. The workshop creaks slightly as a gust of wind pushes against it, and you hear the timbers flex and then settle back into place. The sound is reassuring rather than concerning. It tells you that the building is alive, that it responds to pressure rather than resisting it, that it has the flexibility to survive storms that might damage more rigid structures. Silas built well, you think, built with an understanding of how wood behaves, how weather affects structures, how to create something that will last. Time has become meaningless here. The clock might say minutes have passed or hours. It makes no difference. You exist in the eternal present of this work, this motion, this transformation happening beneath your hands. The outside world, with its schedules and deadlines, feels impossibly distant, impossibly irrelevant. Your shoulders are completely relaxed, now hanging loose and easy from your neck. Your jaw is unclenched, your forehead smooth. The tension that you carried into the workshop, tension you didn't even know you were holding, has dissolved completely, released by the simple act of doing something productive with your hands, something that requires presence but not anxiety, attention but not stress. The second arm is nearly complete now, the old finish giving way to reveal the oak beneath. You run your hand over both arms in succession, comparing them, feeling how similar yet different they are. The wood is the same, yet each piece has its own character, its own story, written in grain and wear, and the particular way it has aged over the decades. You set aside the worn sandpaper and reach for a fresh sheet, this one slightly finer in grit. The paper feels different in your hand, still rough, yet with smaller, more densely packed granules that will smooth the wood even more thoroughly, that will remove the scratches left by the coarser paper and bring the surface closer to its final smoothness. You fold the new paper carefully, taking your time with the creases, making sure it sits comfortably in your palm. The rustling sound it makes seems louder in the quiet workshop, yet it quickly fades back into the ambient sound of rain and heater and the slight whistle of wind through cracks in the walls. Listen to the freezing rain for a moment. The sound on the tin roof is like small bells ringing. The sound on the glass is like pebbles thrown. The sound on the wooden walls is like gentle drumming. Together they create a symphony of winter, a reminder that you are safe inside while the storm rages. The warmth of the workshop surrounds you, holds you, keeps you protected. You return to the chair's back, working over the areas you've already sanded with the coarser paper. The finer grit works differently. It doesn't remove as much material with each stroke, yet what it does remove is the last traces of a roughness, the subtle scratches and imperfections that keep the wood from being truly smooth. You work patiently, methodically, knowing that this stage is just as important as the first, that rushing now would compromise all the work you've already done. The oak responds beautifully to this finer sanding. The surface takes on a different quality, becoming almost silky beneath your hand, taking on a subtle luster that hints at what it will look like when oil brings out the depth of color hidden in the wood. You can see the grain more clearly now too, each growth ring distinct and separate, each darker line tracing the tree's response to winter, each lighter band showing a summer of growth and plenty. There's something meditative about seeing these growth rings, about realizing that this wood came from a tree that lived for decades or perhaps centuries, that stood through countless storms and droughts and seasons, that witnessed the slow turning of years before it was finally harvested and transformed into furniture. You're touching history here, literally running your hands over the record of a life lived in soil and sun and rain. Outside, the darkness is deepening, the grey sky turning to charcoal and then to black. The freezing rain continues its endless falling, coating the world in ice, transforming everything it touches. Yet here in the workshop you remain warm and dry and focused on your work. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else calling for your attention, just this wood, this sandpaper, this patient transformation. Take another breath. Feel how easy it is to breathe here, how the air is warm and fragrant with wood smells, cedar and oak and sawdust, all mingling together. Fill your lungs slowly, release slowly. Feel your body settling even deeper into relaxation, even deeper into this meditative state that the work has created. The freezing rain outside has become such a constant that you've almost stopped hearing it as a separate sound. It's become part of the silence, part of the ambient noise that defines the workshop's acoustic environment. Only when it intensifies slightly, when a gust drives it harder against the glass window with a sharp rattle, or when it drums more heavily on the tin roof sections with bright metallic pings, do you consciously register it again, and then it fades back into the background, into the white noise that makes focused work possible. You continue your patient sanding, working over every inch of the chair's back with the finer paper, making sure no area is neglected, no spot left rough. The work is repetitive yet never boring, meditative yet never mindless. Each stroke requires just enough attention to keep you present, to keep you here in this moment, rather than drifting off into worry or planning or any of the other mental habits that usually fill your mind. The space heater cycles off for a moment, its thermostat satisfied with the temperature it's achieved, and the sudden absence of its hum makes the workshop feel even quieter. The rain sound comes forward, more prominent now, and you can hear the slight whistle of your own breathing, the soft rasp of sandpaper on wood, the creak of floorboards as you shift your weight. Then the heater clicks back on, its orange glow brightening slightly, and the familiar hum returns, and the sonic landscape of the workshop returns to its previous balance. You realize you're smiling slightly, amused by how much you've come to appreciate this small space, this simple work, this evening of storm and warmth, and the patient restoration of something old and worthy. The chair's back is beautifully smooth now, ready for the next stage of restoration. You run both hands over it, palms flat, feeling for any remaining rough spots and finding none. The wood feels alive beneath your hands, warm from the friction of sanding, responsive to your touch in a way that makes you understand why people develop such deep relationships with wood, why craftspeople speak of it almost as if it were a living thing. You notice your hands moving with a kind of intelligence that doesn't come from your mind. They know what to do, where to apply pressure, how to follow the wood's contours. Your body has learned this work, has absorbed it into muscle and nerve, and now it performs it almost automatically, freeing your mind to rest, to be quiet, to simply observe. You move on to the chair's seat, a broader surface that will require more time and attention. The wood here is particularly worn, shaped by decades of use into a slight concave depression that follows the natural contours of the human body. This wear is beautiful in its way, a testament to the chair's utility, to the countless hours of comfort it has provided to countless bodies over the years. You begin sanding at one edge of the seat, working in long strokes that follow the grain. The old finish here is more stubborn than on the back, baked on by years of warmth from sitting, bodies ground in by the friction of clothing and movement. The coarser paper remove most of it, yet there are still traces visible, dark lines in the grain that require patient work to eliminate. You sand slowly, methodically, working over each section multiple times before moving on to the next. There's no rush here, no deadline pressing on you. Hours could pass or minutes, it makes no difference. Time has become elastic here, stretched and softened by the repetitive work, by the warmth and the rain sounds and the meditative rhythm of sanding. The freezing rain will fall as long as it wants to fall, and you will work as long as you want to work, and there's a freedom in that, a liberation from the tyranny of the clock that governs so much of daily life. The seat's surface gradually transforms beneath your efforts. What was dark and dull becomes light and clean. What was rough becomes smooth. What was tired becomes vital. You watch this transformation, with a satisfaction that goes deeper than pride, deeper than accomplishment. It's the satisfaction of seeing potential fulfilled, of revealing beauty that was always there yet hidden, of participating in the ancient and honorable work of restoration. Your hand moves back and forth in its now familiar rhythm, and your breathing continues its synchronized pattern. Inhale as your hand moves forward, exhale as it comes back, over and over, creating a meditation that is both physical and mental, both active and restful. You lose yourself in the work completely, becoming nothing more than the motion itself, the sensation of wood beneath paper, the slow transformation happening under your hand. Outside, the storm continues. The freezing rain falls on the tin roof with metallic music, on the wooden walls with soft percussion, on the glass window with bright staccato notes. The wind pushes and the building yields and returns, alive and flexible and strong. And through it all, you remain here in this warm circle of light, safe and sheltered, focused on your simple task. The contrast is everything. The cold, harsh world outside, the warm, gentle sanctuary inside. Your neck is loose now, your head balanced easily on your spine without any holding or tension. Your back is soft, your hips relaxed. The work has moved through your entire body, releasing knots and tightness you didn't know were there, leaving you feeling fluid and easy and present. Time passes, you're not sure how much. The transformation continues. What was dark becomes light, what was rough becomes smooth. The chair is changing beneath your hands, responding to your patient attention, to your care, to the hours you're giving it in this workshop while winter storms outside. You work over the seat until it's completely smooth, until running your hand across it feels like touching silk, until the wood seems to shine even in the lamp's modest light. The fresh oak smell is strong now, that earthy sweetness released by the sanding, mixing with the cedar from the walls and the vanilla notes from the sawdust to create an aroma that is deeply comforting, deeply satisfying. Then you move to the chair's legs, 4 sturdy pieces of oak that have held up weight and time with equal resilience. You kneel down on the sawdust-covered floor, feeling its softness beneath your knees, and you start with the front legs, sanding each one carefully, working around the curves where they narrow toward the bottom, following the grain as it spirals slightly, creating those beautiful striations that make oak so distinctive, so noble. The legs require more detailed work, more attention to curves and angles. You adjust your grip on the sandpaper frequently, folding it different ways to get into the tight spaces where leg meets seat, where the joints were fitted together by someone with steady hands and a good eye. These joints are still solid, you notice as you work around them, still tight after all these years, a testament to the skill of the original builder. The motion is different down here, working on cylindrical surfaces rather than flat ones. You move the sandpaper in small circular patterns, rotating around the leg, working gradually downward. The rhythm is different, yet equally meditative, equally soothing. Your body adapts, finds its new pattern, settles into this different kind of work. Listen for a moment to the symphony outside. The freezing rain has not stopped, has not even slowed. It continues its multi-layered percussion, bright on tin, soft on wood, sharp on glass, creating a soundscape that is both complex and simple, both varying and constant. And beneath it all, the warm hum of the space heater, the gentle rasp of your sandpaper, your own slow breathing. There is nowhere else you need to be. This moment is complete in itself. Your breathing has synchronized with this new motion, a circular breath pattern to match the circular sanding, flowing and continuous rather than back and forth. Inhale as you come up one side of the leg, exhale as you go down the other. The pattern is natural, unforced, arising from the work itself. One front leg, then the other, then the back legs, each receiving the same patient attention. The wood glows as you sand, the friction creating warmth that you can feel beneath your hands, that makes the oak seem almost alive, almost grateful for the care you're giving it. The workshop is deeply warm now, the space heater having done its work to bring the temperature up to a level that makes kneeling on the floor comfortable, that makes this detailed work possible without discomfort. You're warm in a way that makes you feel drowsy and content, warm in a way that makes the contrast with the freezing rain outside even more pronounced and precious. Your shoulders remain loose as you work, even though you're in a different position now. Your jaw stays unclenched, your forehead smooth. The relaxation that began with the first strokes of sandpaper has deepened. Throughout your body has become a kind of physical meditation that requires no effort to maintain. The legs are becoming smooth, beautifully smooth, the old finish disappearing to reveal the honest wood beneath. Each leg has its own grain pattern, its own particular beauty, and you honor each one with the same careful attention, the same patient sanding. Time continues its strange behavior here in the workshop. Has it been an hour, 2 hours, 3? You have no idea, and it doesn't matter. The work takes as long as it takes, and you have all the time in the world. The storm outside provides endless permission to stay here, to continue this slow, meditative restoration of something old and beautiful. You finish the legs and move to the stretchers, those horizontal pieces that connect the legs and provide structural support. These too deserve attention, and you give it to them, sanding each one until it matches the smoothness of the rest of the chair. Your hands move automatically, now knowing exactly what to do, requiring no instruction from your conscious mind. The stretchers are at an awkward height, requiring you to shift position again, yet your body accommodates easily, finding comfort even in unusual positions. You're so relaxed now, so at ease, that any position feels workable, feels sufficient. Outside you hear a branch crack somewhere in the darkness, heavy with ice. unable to bear the weight any longer. It falls through the frozen branches below it and lands with a muffled thump on the ground. The sound reminds you of the power of the storm, of the cold and ice transforming the landscape. Yet here in the workshop you remain untouched, protected, safe. The contrast is striking. Destruction outside, creation inside, chaos outside, peace inside, cold outside, warmth inside. Take another slow breath. Feel how your lungs expand easily, how the warm wood-scented air fills you completely. Hold it gently, release it fully. Your entire body is soft now, relaxed in a way it rarely achieves, even in sleep. The work has released something deep, has loosened tensions you've carried for so long you forgot they were there. The last pieces that need attention are the spindles, those 5 vertical pieces that form the chair's back. Each one is turned with a slightly different pattern, subtle variations in thickness and spacing of the rings and beads that the original craftsman created on his lathe. You appreciate these small differences, these signatures of handwork and individual attention that mass production has eliminated from modern furniture. You work on each spindle individually, wrapping the sandpaper partially around its narrow circumference and moving up and down its length. The work is detailed, requiring attention to the curves and transitions, to the places where the wood swells and narrows, where the shape creates challenges for even sanding. Yet you meet these challenges patiently, adjusting your grip and pressure as needed, making sure each spindle receives the same care, the same thorough attention. The wood responds beautifully, revealing grain patterns that flow like water, that curve and bend around the turned shapes, that create visual interest and textural complexity. One spindle, then another, then another. The rhythm continues, patient and steady. Your hand knows what to do now without any thought, moving with the kind of wisdom that comes from practice and presence, rather than from planning or analysis. The freezing rain continues its endless song, tin and wood and glass creating their different tones, the wind adding its low notes, the space heater humming its steady bass. You work within this symphony, adding your own quiet sounds, the rasp of sandpaper, the soft scuff of your movement, your slow, deep breathing. There is nowhere else you need to be, no other task calling for attention, no urgency or deadline or expectation, just this work, this wood, this warm room while the storm rages. Outside, the simplicity is profound, the peace is complete. The spindles are all smooth now, all restored, all ready to join the rest of the chair in its renewed state. You run your fingers over them one by one, feeling their shapes, appreciating the care that went into turning them decades ago, honoring that original craftsmanship with your own careful work. The last piece that needs attention is the curved top of the chair's back, the piece that rises above the spindles and creates the chair's distinctive silhouette. This piece is both functional and decorative, shaped to be comfortable for the back of the head, while also being beautiful to look at, beautiful in its line and curve and proportion. You sand it carefully, following its graceful arc with long flowing strokes, working with the curve rather than fighting it. The wood here is dense and close-grained, harder than the other parts of the chair, and it requires more pressure, more persistence to achieve the same smoothness. Yet you don't mind the extra effort. In fact, there's something satisfying about it, about the way this wood resists and then yields, about the conversation that happens between your hand and this particularly stubborn piece of oak. You sand patiently, persistently, watching as the surface gradually becomes smoother, gradually takes on that quality you've been creating throughout this long evening. Your body is completely at ease now, working with a fluidity and grace that comes from hours of repetitive motion, from the deep relaxation that the work has created. You notice your breath is so slow now, so deep, that each cycle seems to take forever. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. The rhythm is almost like sleep breathing, like your body is already preparing for the rest that will come later. Finally, after what might be minutes or might be hours, time has become completely meaningless here, completely irrelevant. You make the last pass with the sandpaper and set it down. The barman chair is complete. Every surface has been sanded, every piece has been cleaned, smoothed and restored. What was old and tired and worn is now fresh and clean and vital, ready for the next chapter of its long life. You step back from the workbench and simply look at what you've accomplished. In the warm lamplight, the chair seems to glow, the oak reflecting the light and throwing it back enriched and deepened. The grain patterns flow across every surface like rivers on a map, like the lines on a palm, like the pathways that water takes as it finds its way downhill. Each surface tells its own story, reveals its own unique character, shows the particular way this tree grew and matured and finally became furniture. You feel a deep satisfaction settling into your chest, spreading through your body like warmth from the space heater. You've taken something that was damaged by time and use, and you've restored it, brought it back to something close to what it was when it first left the craftsman's workshop decades ago. You've honored the original builder's work, honored the tree that gave its wood, and honored the long history of human craftsmanship that stretches back through the centuries. Yet more than that, you've spent hours in a state of deep presence, deep engagement with physical work and material reality. Your mind is quiet now, completely quiet in a way it rarely is in daily life. The constant chatter of worry and planning and remembering has been silenced by the meditative work of sanding, by the repetitive motion and the focused attention and the simple satisfaction of doing something productive with your hands. You move to the old wooden stool in the corner and sit down, feeling the pleasant solidness of it beneath you. Your body is tired, a good tiredness that speaks of work well done, of muscles used and effort sustained. Your hands are slightly sore, slightly dusty with wood particles, and you look at them in the lamplight, seeing the evidence of tonight's work in the fine lines and creases of your palms. The freezing rain is still falling, you realize, still tapping its complex rhythm on tin and wood and glass. The storm has outlasted your work and continues its transformation of the world outside. Yet you remain here, warm and protected, surrounded by the sweet smell of cedar and oak and fresh sawdust, bathed in the golden light of the lamp, wrapped in the warmth from the space heater. The space heater glows in the corner, its orange light warm and welcoming, and you're grateful for it, grateful for the simple technology that keeps this workshop habitable on a night like this, that creates the buffer between you and the freezing world outside. Without it, this evening would have been impossible, or at least far less comfortable, far less conducive to the slow, meditative work you've been doing. You think about the walk back to the farmhouse, about stepping out of this warm workshop into the freezing rain, about feeling the ice pellets sting your face for the minute or two it will take to reach the door. Yet there's no urgency to leave, no reason to hurry. The night is long and the workshop is comfortable, and you're content to sit here for a while longer, letting your body rest, letting the satisfaction of completed work settle more deeply into your awareness. The chair sits on the workbench, transformed by your attention, and you sit on the stool, transformed by the work of transforming it. The freezing rain falls and falls, and the wind pushes against the walls, and the space heater glows its steady orange, and everything is exactly as it should be, exactly as it needs to be in this moment. You think about Miller, probably asleep by now, on the rug in front of the fireplace, his massive body completely relaxed, his breathing slow and steady, his dreams full of whatever dogs dream about. You think about Fig, certainly asleep in his favorite armchair, curled into a perfect circle of orange fur, his nose tucked under his tail, his purr barely audible yet constant. You think about the horses in their stable, standing hip to hip in the darkness, sharing warmth and companionship as they've done for years. You think about the chickens roosting in their coop, the ducks in their floating house, the cows in the barn, all safe, all protected, all at rest. And you think about yourself here in this workshop, also safe, also protected, also at rest in your own way. The work is done, the chair is restored, and there's a deep contentment in that completion, in the knowledge that you've done something good, something worthwhile, something that honors the past and creates the possibility of future use and beauty. Your eyes are growing heavy now, the combination of warmth and tired muscles and a satisfied mind creating the perfect conditions for sleep. You know you should probably head back to the farmhouse soon, yet there's no urgency, no pressing need. You're comfortable here, warm and protected, and you're content to sit for a few more minutes to let this feeling of peace and completion linger a while longer. The workshop is so quiet now, so still, that you can hear the tiny sounds you normally never notice. The settling of the building's old timbers, the slight whistle of air moving through cracks in the walls, the almost imperceptible hum of the lamp's filament burning. These sounds are like a lullaby, like a gentle song that soothes rather than stimulates, that encourages rest rather than alertness. You stand up slowly from the stool, feeling your muscles protest slightly after sitting still, and you move to the workbench one more time. You place both hands flat on the chair's seat, feeling its perfect smoothness, feeling the warmth that still lingers from your work. The oak seems to welcome your touch, seems almost to thank you for the attention you've given it, and you feel a moment of deep connection with this piece of furniture, with its history and its future, with all the hands that have touched it, and all the hands that will touch it in the years to come. You move to the space heater and adjust it to a lower setting, not wanting to waste energy, yet wanting to leave enough warmth that the workshop won't be freezing when someone returns to it tomorrow or the next day. The heater's glow dims slightly, and the workshop takes on an even more intimate quality, the shadows deepening, the circle of light from the lamp becoming more pronounced against the surrounding darkness. You gather the used sandpaper, folding it carefully and setting it aside. Some pieces can still be used for rough work in the future, and there's no sense in wasting materials that have life left in them. The wood dust on the floor has been disturbed by your movements, creating patterns and swirls in the sawdust. Abstract designs that will last until the next time someone sweeps or the next time wind blows through the door. You brush the worst of the sawdust from your clothes, watching it drift down to join the layer on the floor, becoming indistinguishable from all the other particles of wood that have accumulated here over the years. Your hands are still slightly dusty, and you wipe them on your pants, leaving faint traces of oak on the fabric that will wash out easily enough. The chair looks perfect in the lamplight, better than you could have hoped when you began this evening. Every surface is smooth and clean, every piece restored to something close to its original condition. The transformation is complete, at least for tonight, and tomorrow or some other day, you or Silas will apply oil or wax or varnish, whatever treatment will protect the wood and bring out its deepest colors. Yet that's work for another time. Tonight, you've done what you set out to do, and that's enough, more than enough. You walk to the window and look out one more time, though there's little to see except darkness and the reflection of the workshop interior ghosted on the glass. The freezing rain is still falling. You can tell from the sound, the bright pinging on tin, the soft pattering on wood, the sharp rattling on glass, yet it seems to have eased slightly, the intensity dropping as the storm begins to consider moving on, begins to think about releasing its grip on the valley. The farmhouse windows are still glowing, warm and welcoming, and you can just make out their light through the sheets of freezing rain, distant beacons that mark the path home. You think about the warmth waiting there, about the fire still glowing in the hearth, about the bed upstairs with its thick quilts and soft pillows, about the comfort and rest that await you. Yet for just a few more moments, you want to stay here in the workshop, want to hold on to this feeling of peace and completion that has settled over you like a warm blanket. You move back to the stool and sit down once more, just breathing, just being, just existing in this moment that feels perfect and complete and sufficient. The space heater's lower setting creates a gentler warmth now, less intense yet still comfortable, still maintaining that crucial boundary between inside and outside, between comfort and hardship. The lamp continues to cast its warm yellow glow, illuminating the workbench and the restored chair, creating a scene that could have come from any time in the last 100 years, that connects this moment to all the moments of quiet craftsmanship that have come before. You close your eyes for a moment, just feeling the workshop around you, feeling its warmth and its protection, feeling the satisfaction in your muscles and the quiet in your mind. The freezing rain taps its endless rhythm on roof and walls and glass, and the wind whispers around the walls, and the space heater hums its low song, and together these sounds create something that is both music and silence, both presence and absence. When you open your eyes again, you feel ready to leave, ready to make the short walk, back to the farmhouse, ready to trade the workshop's particular comfort for the different comfort of home and bed and sleep. You stand up from the stool and stretch gently, feeling your spine lengthen, feeling your muscles prepare for the brief exposure to cold that will come when you step outside. You move to the lamp and turn it off, and the workshop plunges into dimness, lit now only by the space heater's orange glow. The darkness is immediate and complete, yet not frightening, not threatening. Your eyes adjust quickly, and you can see the outlines of things, the shapes that have become familiar over the course of this long evening. You move to the door carefully, your hand finding the latch easily despite the low light. You pause there for a moment, hand on the cold metal, preparing yourself for the transition from warm to cold, from inside to outside, from the workshop's particular peace to the storm's continuing wildness. Then you open the door and step out into the night, and the freezing rain greets you immediately, ice pellets stinging your face and catching in your hair. The cold is shocking after hours in the heated workshop, and you gasp slightly, feeling it hit your lungs, feeling it penetrate through your clothes to touch your skin. Yet there's something refreshing about it too, something that makes you feel alive and present in your body in a way that being warm never quite does. You close the workshop door behind you, hearing it latch securely, knowing that the chair is safe inside, that the tools are secure, that everything is as it should be. The walk to the farmhouse is short, perhaps 50 yards across frozen ground, yet it feels longer in the darkness and the freezing rain. Your boots crunch on ice-coated grass, and you can feel the pellets accumulating on your shoulders, on your head, on every horizontal surface. The wind pushes against you, testing your balance, reminding you of its strength, and your relative smallness. Yet the farmhouse, windows glow ahead of you, growing larger and brighter with each step, promising warmth and shelter and rest. You can see them clearly now through the freezing rain, can see the amber light spilling out onto the ground, can almost feel the warmth that waits just beyond that door. Your hand reaches for the door handle, finding it cold and slick with ice, and you turn it and push and step inside all in one smooth motion, eager to escape the storm, eager to return to warmth and comfort. The heat of the farmhouse wraps around you immediately, enveloping you like a warm embrace, and you hear Miller's tail thump against the floor once, twice, 3 times, a gentle greeting that says he's glad you're home, that the pack is complete again. You hear Fig's soft chirrup from somewhere in the darkness, a sleepy acknowledgement of your return that doesn't require him to open his eyes or move from his comfortable position. You close the door behind you, shutting out the freezing rain and the wind and the cold, creating once more that crucial barrier between inside and outside that makes home possible. You lean against the door for a moment, just breathing, just feeling the warmth sink into your cold-stung skin, just appreciating the transition from storm to shelter. Your clothes are damp from the freezing rain, and you can feel ice melting in your hair, cold water running down your neck. Yet these discomforts are minor, temporary, already fading as the farmhouse's warmth does its work. You remove your boots and hang your coat, shaking off the last of the ice pellets, watching them melt immediately on the warm floor. You can see Miller now, his massive form sprawled on the rug in front of the fireplace, his head raised slightly to watch you, his tail still wagging in that slow, contented way that means all is well in his world. The fireplace is burning low, just embers now, yet they still give off a gentle warmth and a soft red glow that makes the living room feel cozy and safe. Fig is exactly where you imagined he would be, curled in his favorite armchair, a perfect circle of orange fur that rises and falls with his slow breathing. You move through the darkened farmhouse, turning off lights as you go, preparing the space for deep night, for the hours of rest that stretch ahead. Each room you pass through feels familiar and welcoming. The kitchen with its clean dishes and scrubbed table, the living room with its comfortable furniture and dying fire, the hallway that leads to the stairs. You climb the stairs slowly, your hand on the smooth wooden banister, your feet finding each step automatically in the darkness. Your body is deeply tired now, pleasantly exhausted from the hours of work, and you know that sleep will come easily tonight, quickly and deeply, without resistance. Your bedroom is dark and quiet, the window showing only blackness and the occasional glint of ice on the glass. You can still hear the freezing rain, softer now, yet still present, still tapping its rhythm against the roof and windows. Yet here inside, you are safe from it, protected by solid walls and a good roof, and the warmth that the farmhouse has accumulated throughout the day. You prepare for bed slowly, each action deliberate and mindful, washing the last of the wood dust from your hands, brushing your teeth, pulling on the soft flannel pajamas that have been worn smooth by many washings and many nights of comfortable sleep. Your body is ready for rest, eager for the relief of lying down, eager for the release of sleep. The bed looks infinitely inviting with its thick quilts and plump pillows, and you pull back the covers and slide between the cool sheets, feeling them warm immediately with your body heat. The weight of the quilt settles over you, heavy and comforting, pressing you gently into the mattress, creating a cocoon of warmth and softness that makes the cold outside seem like something from another world entirely. You lie on your back for a moment, looking up at the dark ceiling, listening to the sounds of the farmhouse settling for the night. You can hear the wind in the eaves, hear the freezing rain on the windows, hear the old timbers creaking slightly as they always do, as they have for decades. Your mind drifts back to the workshop, to the chair, to the hours of patient sanding and the satisfaction of watching old wood become new again. You think about how smooth the oak felt beneath your hands, how beautiful the grain looked in the lamplight, how good it felt to complete that work, to bring something worn and tired back to life. Yet these thoughts are drowsy now, already blurring at the edges as sleep approaches. Your body is releasing all its remaining tension, sinking deeper into the mattress, letting go of the day and all its activities and concerns. Your breathing is becoming slower, deeper, each exhale longer than the last, each breath carrying you closer to sleep. Outside, the freezing rain continues to fall, yet it's fading now, becoming more distant, becoming part of the ambient sound of the night rather than something you're actively hearing. The farmhouse holds you safe, the quilts hold you warm, and sleep reaches for you gently, pulling you down into its soft darkness, into its deep rest, into its peaceful dreams. You think one last time about the workshop, about the chair glowing in the lamplight, about the satisfaction of good work done slowly and well. Yet the thought dissolves before it can fully form, becoming just a feeling of contentment, of completion, of peace that settles over you like another quilt, like another layer of warmth and protection. Your breathing slows even more, becoming the deep, steady rhythm of true sleep. Your muscles release their last bits of tension, becoming heavy and still against the mattress. Your mind quiets completely, letting go of thoughts and memories and plans, surrendering to the darkness and the warmth and the safety of this bed, this house, this life. The freezing rain falls, the farmhouse stands, Miller sleeps by the dying fire, Fig dreams in his chair, the horses rest in their stable, and you sleep deeply and peacefully, knowing that you are safe here at Stone Creek Farm, that the work of the day is done, that rest has been earned and is now being received with gratitude and grace. The last thing you're aware of before sleep takes you completely is the sound of the freezing rain, gentle now, almost tender, like a lullaby sung by winter itself, like a blessing on the house and the farm and all who shelter here. It's a sound that promises rest, promises safety, promises that morning will come when it will come, that the night is long and deep and yours to enjoy. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. No one is waiting for anything from you. You are here, in this bed, in this house, in this moment, and that is enough. That is everything. The quilts press gently against you, heavy and warm, and your body accepts their weight with gratitude, with relief, with the kind of surrender that only comes when you're completely safe, completely at ease, completely ready for deep rest. Your eyes are closed now, have been closed for some time, and behind your eyelids there's only peaceful darkness. No images or worries or thoughts, just the soft black of approaching sleep. Your jaw is completely relaxed, your forehead smooth, your shoulders loose and heavy on the mattress. The freezing rain continues its gentle tapping, yet you're barely hearing it now, barely aware of it as a separate sound. It's become part of the silence, part of the peaceful acoustic landscape of deep night on Stone Creek Farm. The wind has died down too, you think, or perhaps you're just too sleepy to notice it anymore, too far gone into the approaching embrace of sleep to track the details of the world outside. You sink deeper into the mattress, feeling yourself becoming heavier, feeling gravity pull you down into the bed, into the warmth, into the soft darkness that is neither inside nor outside you, yet simply is, simply exists as the medium through which sleep arrives. The farmhouse creaks slightly, the old timbers adjusting to the night's cold, and the sound is comforting rather than concerning, familiar rather than strange. You've heard this house creak 1,000 times, have learned its sounds and its rhythms, have come to understand its language. It's settling in for the night just as you are, preparing for rest just as you are, surrendering to the darkness and the cold, just as you are surrendering to sleep. Miller shifts in his sleep downstairs, and you hear his heavy body move on the rug, hear his paws twitch as he dreams of running through fields or chasing rabbits or doing whatever it is that retired sheepdogs dream about. The sound makes you smile slightly, makes you feel connected to him even though he's on another floor, even though he's lost in his own dreams and you're falling into your own sleep. Fig purrs in his chair, a sound so soft you're not sure if you're really hearing it or just imagining it or perhaps remembering it from other nights. Yet it doesn't matter whether it's real or imagined. The feeling it creates is the same, the sense of peaceful companionship, of shared space and shared rest. Outside in their stable, Barley and Bramble stand together in the darkness, their large bodies touching, their breathing synchronized. They've been friends for so long that they move as one, rest as one, exist as one, in some fundamental way that transcends individual identity. The chickens are silent in their coop, all the golden hens huddled together for warmth, the colonel watching over them with his quiet dignity, Henrietta beside him, Goldie and the others tucked safely into the flock. The ducks float in their little house on the edge of Mirror Lake, rocking gently with the small waves that the wind creates, secure in their protected space. Bessie and Buttercup lie in the old barn, their cud chewing finally stopped, their large eyes closed, their shaggy coats keeping them warm in the darkness. Everything is accounted for, everything is safe, everything is at rest. And you are at rest too, your breathing now so slow and deep that each breath seems to take forever. Each exhale seems to carry you further and further from waking, further and further into the soft darkness of deep sleep. The bed holds you perfectly, the mattress conforming to your body, supporting you completely, allowing you to relax in ways you can never quite relax when you're upright, when you're fighting gravity, when you're holding yourself in the world. Here, lying down, you can let go completely, can surrender all effort, can simply be held and supported and allowed to rest. The quilts are perfectly warm now, having absorbed your body heat and created a microclimate of comfort beneath their layers. You're not too hot and not too cold, but exactly right, exactly comfortable, exactly ready for the deep sleep that your body has earned through honest work and patient effort. The freezing rain is almost silent now, or perhaps you've simply stopped hearing it, stopped registering it as sound at all. It exists somewhere out there in the darkness, falling on the workshop and the farmhouse and the barn and the stable, coating everything in ice, transforming the landscape into something crystalline and strange. Yet it cannot touch you here, cannot reach you through these walls and this roof and these quilts. You are protected, safe, warm, at rest. Your mind is almost completely quiet now, almost empty of thought, almost surrendered to the darkness and the warmth and the deep rest that sleep brings. Occasionally a thought floats through, a memory of the workshop, a plan for tomorrow, a feeling about the work you've done. Yet these thoughts are like clouds passing across a night sky, visible for a moment yet gone before they can take root, before they can pull you back from the edge of sleep. Your breathing is so slow now, so deep, that you're barely aware of it, barely conscious of the rise and fall of your chest, of the movement of air in and out of your lungs. It's happening automatically, naturally, perfectly, without any effort or intention on your part. Your body knows how to sleep, knows how to rest, knows how to restore itself through the deep unconsciousness that is approaching. The darkness behind your closed eyelids is complete now, total, without even the faint patterns and lights that sometimes appear when you first close your eyes. It's the darkness of deep night, of deep rest, of deep sleep that is no longer approaching, but is here, is present, is taking you into itself with gentle insistence. You are sinking now, sinking down through layers of consciousness, through the boundary between waking and sleeping, between being aware and being unconscious. The transition is smooth, easy, natural, requiring nothing from you except surrender, except willingness to let go, Accept trust in the process of sleep and rest and restoration. The farmhouse holds you, the bed holds you, the quilts hold you, the night holds you, and sleep holds you most of all, wrapping you in its soft darkness, pulling you down into its deep waters, taking you to that place of complete rest where the body heals and the mind quiets and the spirit renews itself. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to think about, nothing left to worry about or plan or remember. There is only this warmth, this darkness, this complete and perfect rest. You are safe here at Stone Creek Farm. The work is done. The day is over. Deep sleep is here. Your last awareness is of the bed beneath you, solid and supportive, and the quilts above you, heavy and warm, and the darkness around you, complete and welcoming. And then even this awareness fades, dissolves, disappears into the deep sleep that has finally, gently, completely taken you. The freezing rain falls, the night deepens, the farm sleeps, and you sleep too, deeply and peacefully, without dreams or thoughts or any awareness at all, just pure rest, pure sleep, pure surrender to the healing darkness of deep night. You are safe here at Stone Creek Farm. Deep sleep is here. Good night.